Welcome, peaceful wanderer, to another gentle journey. Tonight, we're traveling together to the ancient temple grounds of Kyoto, where time moves slowly and every breath brings deeper calm. There's no rush, no agenda, just a peaceful exploration through moonlit gardens and quiet sanctuaries that will carry you gently toward rest. Before we begin our restful adventure together, consider liking this video and subscribe to the channel, but only if you get value out of these sleepy travels, and drop a comment where in the world you want us to visit next. I will do my best to take us all there soon. Now, let yourself settle comfortably, perhaps adjusting your pillow just right, feeling your body sink a little deeper into comfort. Tonight's journey takes us to Kyoto during the gentle days of early autumn, when the first maple leaves are just beginning to blush with color, and the evening air carries that perfect coolness that makes you want to wrap yourself in soft comfort. You find yourself arriving at Kyoto Station just as the sun begins its descent toward the western mountains. The modern world gradually fades behind you as you step onto the platform. The evening light has that special quality unique to autumn in Japan. Golden, but softer somehow. Gentler, like honey dissolved in warm tea. As you walk slowly through the station, the sounds of the busy day are already beginning to quiet. Voices become softer, footsteps slower. Even the announcements seem more gentle at this hour, as if the station itself knows that evening is a time for peace. You notice how the setting sun streams through the geometric patterns of the station's modern architecture, creating shadows that dance slowly, peacefully across the floor. Outside the station, the city of Kyoto spreads before you in the gathering dusk. In the distance, you can already see the silhouettes of pagodas rising against the purple-painted sky. 5-story towers that have stood watch over this city for centuries. The mountains that cradle Kyoto on 3 sides are turning deep indigo, their forested slopes holding the last whispers of daylight. The air itself feels different here. It carries something ancient, something peaceful. Perhaps it's the incense from 1,000 temples, or the moisture from the Kamo River, or simply the accumulated tranquility of centuries of meditation and prayer. You breathe it in slowly, deeply, feeling it fill your lungs with calm. Your journey tonight will take you from temple to temple, garden to garden, each one offering its own unique peace. Some will show you moonlight on ancient wood. Others will share the sound of water falling gently over stone. There's no need to remember everything. No need to stay alert. These temples have been here for hundreds of years, and they'll wait patiently for you, whether you're fully awake or drifting in dreams. As you begin walking toward your first temple, your footsteps naturally slow to match the rhythm of this ancient city. The modern streets gradually give way to older paths. Concrete becomes stone. Neon lights fade to paper lanterns. You're entering old Kyoto now, the Kyoto of whispered prayers and meditation gardens, of temple bells and moonlight on moss. Your path leads you gently upward through the historic Higashiyama district. The narrow street is lined with traditional wooden buildings, their dark timber frames weathered by centuries of seasons. Small shops are beginning to close for the evening, their owners performing the quiet ritual of ending another day. Wooden shutters slide closed with soft whispers. Paper lanterns begin to glow with warm amber light. The stone path beneath your feet has been worn smooth by millions of pilgrims over the centuries. Each step connects you to this ancient tradition of seeking peace in sacred spaces. The incline is gentle, designed for contemplation rather than exertion. You notice how your breathing naturally deepens as you climb, each breath drawing in the cooling evening air. As you approach Kiyomizu-dera, the temple of pure water, the first thing you notice is the massive wooden gate. The neon stands before you, its red-painted pillars glowing softly in the last light of day. The guardian statues within the gate watch peacefully, their fierce expressions softened by centuries of weather and the gathering darkness. They've seen so many seekers pass through, so many souls searching for peace. You pass through the gate slowly, feeling the temperature drop slightly in its shadow. There's something about crossing a temple threshold that changes the quality of the air itself. Perhaps it's the cedar wood, aged and sacred. Or perhaps it's simply the knowledge that you're entering a space dedicated to tranquility. The main hall appears before you, its famous wooden veranda extending out over the hillside like a gentle hand reaching toward the city below. The structure is held together without a single nail, ancient carpentry techniques, creating joints so perfect they've lasted over 400 years. The wood creaks softly in the evening breeze, a sound like the temple itself, breathing slowly, peacefully. You step onto the veranda, and the view opens before you. Kyoto spreads out in the valley below, beginning its transformation from day to night. Lights are starting to twinkle on, one by one, like stars awakening on Earth. The city looks so peaceful from here, so quiet, as if it too is preparing for rest. The famous Ottawa waterfall flows beneath the temple, its 3 streams falling gently into a stone basin. The sound of water on stone is constant, but never harsh, a liquid lullaby that has been singing the same song for centuries. Each stream is said to grant a different blessing: longevity, success in school, fortune in love. But tonight, you seek only the blessing of peaceful rest. Other visitors move quietly around you, their voices naturally hushed by the approaching night and the sacred atmosphere. A couple stands at the railing, watching the sunset in comfortable silence. An elderly man sits on a wooden bench, eyes closed, perhaps in prayer, perhaps in rest. Everyone moves slowly here, as if the temple itself encourages a more gentle pace. The wooden walkways guide you deeper into the temple complex. Each building is connected by covered corridors that protect you from the elements while keeping you connected to the outdoor air. Paper lanterns are being lit one by a young monk who moves with practiced grace. His movements are meditation in themselves, deliberate, mindful, peaceful. As the sun finally touches the western mountains, the temple bells begin their evening song. The deep bronze tone rolls across the hillside, not sharp or startling, but round and full, like ripples on a still pond. The sound seems to come from within the earth itself, rising up through the wooden pillars, through your feet, filling your whole being with its peaceful vibration. As you continue exploring Kiyomizu-dera in the deepening twilight, your mind drifts gently to the long history that brought Buddhism to these shores. The story begins over 1,500 years ago, traveling slowly along the Silk Road, not as conquest or commerce, but as whispered wisdom passed from teacher to student. Buddhism arrived in Japan like a morning mist, gradually, gently, finding its place alongside the indigenous Shinto beliefs. Rather than replacing them, the two traditions learned to live in harmony, like two trees growing side by side, their branches occasionally intertwining, but each maintaining its own roots. Even now in this Buddhist temple, you can find small Shinto shrines tucked into quiet corners, peaceful coexistence made manifest in wood and stone. The builders of these ancient temples worked in meditative silence. Master carpenters would spend years, sometimes decades, perfecting a single joint or curve. They believed that the wood itself contained a spirit that needed to be honored. Each beam was chosen not just for its strength, but for its character, the way it had grown, the story it told in its grain. You run your hand gently along a wooden pillar, feeling the centuries beneath your fingertips. This wood came from trees that were already ancient when they were felled, trees that had stood through countless seasons, witnessed the passage of generations. Now they stand here, transformed but still alive in their own way, continuing their patient watch over those who seek peace. The philosophy of wabi-sabi pervades every aspect of the temple's design. This uniquely Japanese aesthetic finds beauty in imperfection, in the natural aging process, in the gentle decay that comes with time. You notice it in the slightly uneven wooden floors, worn smooth in some places by countless footsteps, in the moss that grows on the stone lanterns, in the weathered copper of the roof tiles, turned green-blue with patina. Nothing here strives for perfection in the Western sense. Instead, there's a deeper perfection in accepting impermanence, in finding peace with change. A crack in a wooden beam becomes a beautiful reminder of the passage of time. A stone worn uneven by rain becomes more precious than when it was newly cut. The temple's history is written not in books, but in these small details. Each worn step tells of pilgrims who climbed in search of solace. Each darkened beam speaks of incense offerings rising through the centuries. The very air seems thick with accumulated prayers, millions of whispered hopes and dreams that have soaked into the wood and stone. During the peaceful Heian period, over 1,000 years ago, aristocrats would come here to compose poetry and contemplate the changing seasons. They would sit where you sit now, watching the same moon rise over the same mountains, finding the same peace in the temple's embrace. Time moves differently in sacred spaces. Past and present blend together like incense smoke. The monks who maintained these temples through the centuries lived lives of quiet routine, waking before dawn for meditation, tending the gardens with mindful attention, sweeping the paths not because they were dirty, but because the act of sweeping itself was meditation. Their daily rhythms became the heartbeat of the temple, steady, constant, reassuring. Even during times of war and upheaval, the temples remained sanctuaries of peace. Warriors would lay down their swords at the gate. Enemies would pray side by side. The temples stood as reminders that there was something beyond conflict, something eternal and peaceful. As night fully settles over Kiyomizu-dera, you feel connected to this long chain of seekers. All those who came before, seeking the same tranquility you seek tonight. Their presence lingers peacefully, like a blessing passed down through time. You leave Kiyomizu-dera through a different gate, following a path that leads you northward through the quiet streets. The city has fully transformed into its nighttime self now. Busy shops have given way to closed shutters. The only lights are the soft glow of paper lanterns and the occasional window where someone reads or rests. Your path leads you to the philosopher's path, the Tetsugaku no Michi. This gentle walkway follows an old canal, lined with hundreds of cherry trees that in spring create a tunnel of blossoms. Now, in early autumn, their leaves whisper different secrets, stories of the coming rest, the approaching time of quiet. The path earned its name from a philosopher who walked this route daily for meditation. His footsteps, repeated day after day, year after year, seemed to wear a groove, not just in the earth but in the fabric of thought itself. Walking here, you can feel why he chose this path. The sound of water flowing gently in the canal, the overhanging branches creating a natural cloister. Everything encourages contemplation, or better yet, the peaceful absence of thought. Small shrines appear along the path, barely visible in the darkness. Some are no bigger than a birdhouse, containing tiny statues and offerings. A few coins, a flower, a written prayer folded into impossibly small squares. These humble shrines feel even more sacred than grand temples. They speak of personal devotion, quiet faith, individual moments of hope. The moon has risen now, nearly full, casting silver light through the leaves. This is the perfect light for approaching Ginkakuji, the Silver Pavilion, a temple designed specifically for contemplating the moon. As you near the temple, the path becomes even quieter. Even the insects seem to lower their voices here. The Silver Pavilion appears before you like something from a dream. Despite its name, it was never actually covered in silver. The name comes from how moonlight transforms its dark wood into something luminous, ethereal. Tonight, with the moon high and bright, you understand completely. The building seems to glow with an inner light, soft, peaceful, otherworldly. The gardens here were designed for night viewing. Every element was placed with careful consideration of how it would look under moonlight, how shadows would fall, how water would reflect, how sand would shimmer. You enter slowly, feeling as if you're walking into a carefully composed poem written in landscape. The first garden contains a remarkable sand sculpture, a perfect cone rising from a sea of raked gravel. In daylight, it represents Mount Fuji, but now, in moonlight, it becomes something more abstract, more dreamlike. The precisely raked patterns in the sand catch the silver light, creating rivers of shadow and illumination that seem to flow, even though nothing moves. You sit on a wooden platform designed for exactly this purpose, moon viewing. The wood is smooth and cool beneath you, polished by countless others who have sat here before. The moon's reflection appears in the carefully placed pond, creating two moons, one in heaven, one on earth, perfectly balanced. The gardens contain several small tea houses, their paper windows glowing faintly from within. You can smell the faint aroma of charcoal and green tea. Someone is practicing the tea ceremony even at this late hour. The movements inside cast shadows on the paper, slow, deliberate, ritualistic, like watching a peaceful dream. A path of stepping stones leads you deeper into the garden. Each stone was chosen for its particular shape and placed at exactly the right distance for a meditative pace. You can't walk quickly here, even if you wanted to. The stones enforce a rhythm of contemplation. Step, pause, breathe. Step, pause, breathe. The moss garden appears almost luminescent in the moonlight. Dozens of varieties of moss create a tapestry of subtle textures and shades. Some areas look like velvet, others like tiny forests in miniature. The moss muffles all sound, creating pockets of such profound quiet that you can hear your own heartbeat. Slow, steady, peaceful. Koi fish move slowly in the dark pond, their movements creating gentle ripples that catch and scatter the moonlight. They surface occasionally with the soft splashes, not the energetic feeding of daytime, but the lazy, contented movements of creatures at rest. Their scales flash silver for just a moment before they disappear back into the dark water. As you continue through the moonlit gardens, your path leads you past a small tea house where the soft glow from within invites contemplation. Through the translucent paper windows, you can see the silhouette of a tea master performing the evening's final ceremony. Every movement is deliberate, mindful, each gesture refined through centuries of tradition. The way of tea, Cha no Yu, is meditation in motion. The careful cleaning of each implement, the precise measurement of powdered tea, the specific angle at which water is poured. Nothing is rushed, nothing is forced. Each action flows naturally into the next, like water finding its path. You can hear the soft sounds of the ceremony, the gentle tap of the bamboo whisk against ceramic, the quiet bubble of water over charcoal, the whisper of silk as the tea master adjusts their position. These sounds have remained unchanged for hundreds of years, a timeless rhythm that connects this moment to countless others. The philosophy behind the tea ceremony speaks of 4 principles: harmony, respect, purity, and tranquility. Wa, ke, sei, jaku. Even the words themselves sound peaceful when whispered. These aren't just concepts, but lived experiences, felt in the warmth of the tea bowl in your hands, in the bittersweet taste that awakens then calms, in the shared silence between host and guest. Moving deeper into the temple grounds, you become aware of the quiet routines of temple life, continuing even at this late hour. A monk passes by on a covered walkway, his footsteps barely audible on the wooden boards. He carries a small lantern that casts moving shadows, creating a gentle dance of light and dark. His robes make a soft rustling sound, like leaves stirring in a breeze. The monks here follow rhythms established over a millennium ago. They wake at 3:30 in the morning for the first meditation, not because they must, but because the mind is clearest in those precious moments between sleep and waking. Their entire day unfolds in cycles of meditation, work, and study, each activity performed with the same mindful attention. The evening routine you're witnessing now is particularly peaceful. This is the time for final prayers, for preparing the temple for its night rest, for ensuring all the altars have fresh water and flowers for tomorrow. You watch as a young monk tends to the incense burners, adding just enough to maintain the gentle fragrance through the night. The incense used in these temples is an art form in itself. Precious woods like sandalwood and aloes wood are ground and mixed according to recipes passed down through generations. Each temple has its own signature blend, subtle variations that regular visitors can recognize. Tonight the air carries hints of Kyara, the most precious aloes wood, sweet and deep, with undertones that seem to shift with each breath. The tradition of incense appreciation, called Kodo, teaches that fragrance can be a path to enlightenment, not through overwhelming the senses, but through subtle variations that require complete presence to perceive. As you breathe in the gentle smoke, you notice how it seems to slow time itself. Each breath becomes a moment of meditation. In a small building to your right, you glimpse the temple's library through an open door. Ancient texts rest on wooden shelves, their gold-leafed covers catching the lamplight. These sutras have been copied by hand, generation after generation, each character written with perfect attention. The act of copying itself becomes meditation, the brush moving in rhythm with the breath. The temple bells mark the passage of time differently here, not the harsh demands of modern schedules, but gentle reminders of the natural flow of hours. The 9 o'clock bell rings now, its deep tone rolling across the gardens. The sound seems to emerge from the earth itself, traveling up through your feet, through your bones, settling finally in your chest, where it resonates with your heartbeat. You notice how the temple seems to breathe with its own life. The wooden buildings expand and contract with the temperature, creating small creaks and sighs. It's as if the temple itself is settling in for the night, adjusting its ancient bones, preparing for rest. Your journey continues southward now, following quiet streets, toward Tofukuji, famous for its autumn colors. Though the maple leaves have only just begun their transformation, the temple takes on a different beauty at night, more subtle, more mysterious. The path leads you through sleeping neighborhoods where cats prowl silently, and only the occasional window shows the blue flicker of a television. As you approach Tofukuji, you notice the temperature has dropped slightly. The autumn night carries that particular coolness that makes you want to wrap yourself deeper in warmth. There's a smell in the air, decomposing leaves, rich earth, the faint sweetness of overripe persimmons falling from trees. These are the scents of the turning season, of nature preparing for its long rest. The temple's massive Sanmon gate looms before you in the darkness. This is one of the oldest wooden gates in Japan, its huge pillars rising like ancient trees. As you pass beneath it, you feel the weight of centuries above you. Not oppressive, but protective, like being sheltered by time itself. The famous Tsutenkyo Bridge stretches across a valley of maple trees. In daylight during peak autumn, this bridge is crowded with visitors photographing the blazing colors. But now, in the deep night with only early autumn colors, you have it entirely to yourself. The wooden railings are smooth and cool under your hands as you pause midway across. Below you, the maple trees rustle gently in the night breeze. Most are still green, but here and there, caught in the moonlight, you can see leaves beginning their change. Some show just a blush of red at their edges. Others have turned completely, hanging like small flames in the darkness. The transformation happens so gradually, so gently, each leaf following its own timeline, its own peaceful surrender to the season. The sound of the leaves is hypnotic, thousands of them whispering together, creating a soft susurrus that rises and falls with the wind. Occasionally, a single leaf releases its hold and drifts down. You can't see it in the darkness, but you can hear its gentle descent, the faintest whisper as it brushes against branches, then silence as it joins its companions on the ground below. Tofukuji contains 4 distinct gardens, each representing a different face of nature. In the darkness, you make your way to the first, the South Garden. Even in the low light, you can make out the massive rocks, arranged to represent the mythical islands of the immortals. These stones have been here for 700 years, unmoved, unchanged, except for the slow accumulation of moss and lichen. The East Garden uses cylindrical stones repurposed from old temple foundations. Arranged like the constellation of the Big Dipper, they create a pattern that seems to shift as clouds pass over the moon. Shadow and light play across the gravel, creating the illusion of movement where there is only stillness. In the north garden, moss and stones create a checkerboard pattern. The moss appears almost black in the darkness, the stones pale gray. This geometric precision slowly gives way to natural growth at the edges, where the moss begins to claim the stones. It's a meditation on the relationship between human design and natural entropy, order gently surrendering to beautiful chaos. The west garden maintains its azalea bushes trimmed in perfect spheres. In the moonlight, they look like sleeping creatures, gentle, rounded forms that seem to breathe slowly in the night air. Come spring, they'll burst with color. But now, they rest, conserving energy, dreaming perhaps of future blooms. A small meditation hall stands open to the night. Inside, a single candle burns before a simple altar. The tatami mats release their distinctive scent, grassy, clean, somehow both fresh and ancient. You remove your shoes and step inside, feeling the woven surface beneath your feet. The mats give slightly under your weight, accepting your presence, inviting you to stay. Sitting in the meditation hall, you become aware of the temple's night sounds, the settling of old wood, the distant trickle of water from a fountain, the occasional call of a night bird. These sounds don't disturb the silence. They're part of it, woven into the fabric of peace that envelops this place. Through the open doors, you can see the moon has traveled across the sky. Time has passed without your noticing, the way time moves in dreams, fluid, gentle, without sharp edges or demands. You could have been sitting here for minutes or hours. It doesn't matter. Temple time operates by different rules. Leaving the meditation hall of Tofukuchi, your journey takes you to one of Kyoto's most secluded temples. Sanzen Inn lies in the northern mountains, in the village of Ohara. The path leads you away from the city proper, climbing gently into the foothills where the air becomes even cooler, even quieter. This is a temple that many visitors never find, hidden away, like a secret whispered only to those who truly seek peace. The road to Ohara follows an old route used by imperial messengers 1,000 years ago. In those days, the journey would take half a day by palanquin or horseback. Now, even walking slowly through the night, you feel connected to those ancient travelers, following the same curves, crossing the same small streams, breathing the same mountain air. As you climb higher, the sounds of the city fade completely. Up here, the silence is different, deeper, older. It's the silence of mountains that have stood for millions of years, of forests that have never known the axe, of streams that have carved their paths since before humans walked these lands. Sanzen Inn appears almost suddenly, nestled in a grove of cryptomeria trees. These massive cedars rise into the darkness, their trunks so wide that 3 people holding hands couldn't encircle them. They create a natural cathedral, their branches meeting high overhead, filtering the moonlight into gentle silver beams. The temple's moss garden is legendary, and in the moonlight, you understand why. The moss here grows thicker than anywhere else in Kyoto. Decades of mountain mist and careful tending have created a carpet so deep your footsteps make no sound. It glows faintly in the darkness, as if lit from within, countless tiny plants creating a living tapestry of greens, so subtle they seem to shift and change as you watch. Scattered throughout the moss are small Jizo statues. These protector deities of children and travelers have been dressed by locals in tiny knitted caps and scarves. In the darkness, they look like benevolent spirits, watching, protecting, blessing all who pass. Some are so old, they've sunk into the moss until only their heads remain visible, becoming part of the garden itself. The sound of mountain water is everywhere here. Small streams crisscross the temple grounds, their voices blending into a liquid symphony. Some gurgle deeply, running over stones. Others whisper softly, flowing through channels of moss. The water is ice cold, pure from mountain springs, carrying the taste of ancient stones and forest earth. You follow a path made of irregular stones, each one requiring careful attention to navigate in the darkness. This deliberate difficulty is intentional, forcing mindfulness, requiring presence. Your world narrows to the next step, the next breath, the next moment. Past and future dissolve, leaving only this gentle now. A small building houses the temple's most precious statue, a 1,000-year-old Amida Buddha. Even in the near darkness, you can sense its presence. Serene, compassionate, infinitely patient. Generations of incense offerings have darkened the wood around it, creating a patina that seems to absorb light rather than reflect it. The ceiling of this hall is famous for its painted dragon. In the darkness, you can barely make out its form, but you feel its presence above you, protective rather than fearsome. Legend says the dragon guards the temple's dreams, ensuring that all who sleep within these grounds rest peacefully. Outside again, you discover a hidden grove where ancient trees lean together, their branches intertwined after centuries of growth. They've learned to support each other, to share space and light, to exist in perfect harmony. Beneath them, the darkness is complete, but not frightening. It's the darkness of the womb, safe, nurturing, preparing you for rebirth into peace. The mountain mist begins to descend, wrapping the temple in soft veils of moisture. Everything becomes softer, edges blur, distances become uncertain. The world shrinks to what you can immediately sense. The ground beneath your feet, the cool mist on your skin, the scent of wet moss and wood. Descending from the mountain sanctuary of Sanzanin, your path takes an unexpected turn toward the southern part of Kyoto. You're drawn to Fushimi Inari, where thousands of vermilion torii gates create tunnels of sacred space up the mountainside. While this is a Shinto shrine rather than a Buddhist temple, the boundaries between these traditions blur in the darkness, both offering their own paths to peace. The approach to Fushimi Inari at this late hour is remarkably different from its daytime appearance. Gone are the crowds of visitors, the vendors, the busy energy of tourism. Now, in the deep night, the shrine returns to its ancient purpose, a pathway between the earthly and the divine, a ladder of gates climbing toward heaven. The first torii gate appears before you, massive and glowing faintly orange in the moonlight. Even in darkness, the vermilion paint seems to hold light within itself, as if it absorbed the sun during the day and now releases it slowly through the night. You pass beneath it, feeling the familiar shift that comes with entering sacred space. But here it feels different, older somehow, more primal. The fox statues that guard the shrine watch you with the stone eyes. These kitsune are the messengers of Inari, the deity of rice, prosperity, and peaceful abundance. In the darkness, they seem more alive, their faces shifting in the play of shadows. sometimes stern, sometimes playful, always watchful. Some hold keys in their mouths, keys to rice granaries, but symbolically, keys to abundance, to contentment, to the satisfaction that comes from enough. As you begin climbing the main path, the famous tunnel of torii gates begins. Each gate was donated by individuals or businesses in gratitude for prosperity received. Thousands upon thousands of them, creating a continuous corridor of sacred space. In the darkness, walking through them feels like moving through a physical manifestation of gratitude. Countless thank you notes written in wood and paint. The gates are placed so close together that they create their own atmosphere. The moonlight barely penetrates here, creating a twilight world of deep shadows and subtle variations of darkness. Your eyes adjust slowly, beginning to see, not with sharp clarity but with a different kind of perception, sensing space rather than seeing it. The path beneath your feet changes from stone to earth and back again, sometimes smooth, sometimes rough, each section requiring its own pace, its own attention. The climb is gradual but constant, each step taking you higher up the sacred mountain, further from the mundane world below. Every few dozen gates, there's a small gap where you can look out over Kyoto. The city spreads below like a sea of gentle lights, distant and dreamlike. From up here, the concerns of daily life seem so small, so temporary. The mountain holds you above it all, offering perspective that comes only with distance and elevation. The names of donors are written on the back of each gate in black calligraphy. In the darkness, you can't read them, but you can see the shadows of the characters. Each one represents a story, a wish fulfilled, a harvest that exceeded expectations, a business that prospered, a family that found security. The accumulation of all these stories of abundance creates an atmosphere of deep contentment. As you climb higher, the gates become older. The newer ones near the base are bright and pristine. But here, weather and time have softened the vermilion to deeper, richer tones. Some gates lean slightly, others show the grain of the wood through worn paint. They're more beautiful for their imperfection, more real, more honest about the passage of time. Small shrines appear at regular intervals, tiny structures no bigger than a closet, each one dedicated to a different aspect of Inari's blessings. Candles flicker in some of them, left by evening visitors. The flames dance in the slight breeze, casting moving shadows that make the shrine figures seem to breathe, to watch, to acknowledge your passing. The sound of your footsteps echoes differently within the tunnel of gates, sometimes hollow, sometimes muffled, constantly changing as the space expands and contracts. It creates a rhythm that your body naturally follows. Step, echo, step, echo. The mountain itself becomes a drum, and you're playing it with your feet, creating a walking meditation that requires no thought, only movement. Halfway up the mountain, you reach the intersection called Yotsutsuji. Here, the path opens to a clearing with a spectacular view. The entire city lies below, peaceful in its sleep. The moon hangs perfectly positioned, as if placed there specifically for this moment. You sit on an ancient stone bench, worn smooth by countless others who've paused here for the same view, the same rest, the same moment of perfect peace. The air is thinner here, cleaner, carrying the scent of pine and cedar from the forest that surrounds the upper paths. You breathe deeply, feeling the mountain air fill your lungs, cool, pure, charged with the energy of growing things. Each breath seems to clear not just your lungs, but your mind, washing away thoughts like rain washing dust from leaves. The upper portion of the path is even quieter. Here, the gates continue, but with more space between them. You move in and out of their protection, sometimes under their shelter, sometimes exposed to the open sky. It's like breathing, in and out, covered and uncovered, protected and free. Small stone lanterns line certain sections of the path. Most are unlit, but their presence is felt. Markers of the way, guides through the darkness. Moss grows on their surfaces, softening their edges, making them seem like natural formations rather than human creations. They've been here so long, they've become part of the mountain. You encounter a small waterfall where pilgrims perform misogi, ritual purification. At this hour, no one is here, but the water continues its faithful flow. The sound is constant, reliable, reassuring. Water doesn't care about time. It flows the same at midnight as at noon, following its nature without question or hesitation. Near the summit, the gates become fewer but somehow more powerful. These are the oldest ones, the first ones, the ones that started this 1,000-gate journey. Their wood is almost black with age, the vermilion paint, just a memory in certain lights. They stand like elderly guardians, patient, wise, having seen so much that nothing surprises them anymore. The shrine at the summit is simple, humble even, not the grand structure you might expect after such a journey, but a quiet space of profound peace. The journey itself was the purpose, each gate a prayer, each step a meditation. Reaching the top isn't about achievement, it's about the accumulation of peaceful moments that brought you here. From the summit you can see for miles in every direction. Other mountains rise in the darkness, other temples and shrines scattered like stars across the landscape. You're part of a vast network of sacred spaces, all connected, all offering their own flavor of peace to anyone who seeks it. The descent is even more dreamlike. Going down through the gates feels like descending through layers of consciousness. Each gate a doorway between states of being, between waking and sleeping, between effort and ease. Your legs move automatically, finding their own rhythm, requiring no guidance from your mind. As you near the base of the mountain again, the gates become newer, brighter, more of this world. But you carry the peace of the summit with you. The silence of the upper reaches has settled into your bones. You've climbed through 1,000 prayers and come down transformed. Not obviously, not dramatically, but subtly, gently, perfectly. Your path now leads you back toward the western edge of Kyoto, to Arashiyama, where Tenryuji Temple guards its famous bamboo grove. The journey takes you along the Katsura River, its dark waters reflecting the moon in broken fragments of light. The sound of the river is constant but gentle, a flowing lullaby that is sung through countless nights. Tenryuji, the temple of the heavenly dragon, has a beginning rooted in dreams. The emperor who founded it saw a golden dragon rising from this very river in his sleep. The dragon spoke of the need for a place of peace, a sanctuary where the boundary between the earthly and the celestial could grow thin. When he woke, he ordered the temple built on this exact spot. As you enter the temple grounds, the bamboo grove announces itself with sound before sight. The hollow stems knock together gently in the breeze, creating a percussion that's both random and rhythmic. It sounds like wooden wind chimes, or distant temple blocks, or the earth itself keeping time. The path into the bamboo grove is narrow, barely wide enough for one person. The bamboo rises on either side, impossibly tall, disappearing into darkness above. Moonlight filters through in thin streams, creating a pattern of light and shadow that shifts constantly as the bamboo sways. You feel as if you're walking through a living cathedral, the bamboo like organ pipes playing a silent hymn to the night. Each bamboo stem grows at its own pace, some shooting up several feet in a single day during the growing season. But now, in autumn, their growth has slowed to an imperceptible crawl. They stand in their millions, each one unique, yet part of the greater whole. Individuals that have surrendered their individuality to create something greater. The legends say that on certain nights, when the moon is right and the wind is still, you can hear the bamboo singing. Not the usual creaking and knocking, but actual melody, ancient songs that predate human memory. Tonight, as you stand still in the grove's heart, you might hear it too. A low humming that could be wind, could be imagination, could be the bamboo's secret voice. There's a small shrine deep in the grove, so old that no one remembers which deity it honors. The wooden structure has been claimed by moss and vines, becoming more plant than building. Offerings still appear here. A cup of sake, a handful of rice, a folded paper crane. Someone still tends to this forgotten god, keeping the old contracts between human and divine. The bamboo grove has its own microclimate. The temperature here is several degrees cooler, the air more humid, filled with the green scent of chlorophyll and growth. You breathe deeply, feeling the oxygen-rich air fill your lungs. Scientists say bamboo produces more oxygen than almost any other plant. Perhaps that's why the air here feels so pure, so alive, so peaceful. As you walk deeper into the grove, the outside world ceases to exist. The bamboo creates a perfect barrier to sound and light. You could be anywhere, anywhen. This could be the same grove that existed 1,000 years ago, or 1,000 years hence. Bamboo exists outside of human time, renewing itself endlessly, dying and being reborn in cycles that make human life seem like a single breath. A small clearing appears, where someone has placed a simple wooden bench. You sit, surrounded by the protective circle of bamboo, and close your eyes. The sounds become more distinct. The rustle of leaves high above, the occasional crack of a stem adjusting to temperature change, the whisper of wind through countless small spaces. The dragon that gave the temple its name is said to still live in the bamboo, not as a physical creature, but as a presence, a guardian spirit that ensures all who enter the grove with peaceful intentions leave more peaceful still. You might feel it as a gentle pressure, a sense of being watched over, protected, held in ancient benevolent awareness. Leaving the bamboo grove, you return to the main temple grounds where the famous garden awaits. Created 700 years ago, it was designed to be viewed from the temple's veranda, like a painting that changes with the seasons and light. In the moonlight, the garden becomes abstract, shapes and shadows that suggest rather than define. The pond at the garden's heart reflects not just the moon, but the entire night sky. Stars shimmer on its surface, disturbed occasionally by a night-feeding carp whose movements send ripples of light across the water. The reflection is so perfect that looking down feels like looking up, as if the earth and sky have changed places. The night has deepened into its quietest hours. The that precious time between midnight and dawn when the world itself seems to sleep. Your final temple destination is Ryoan-ji, home to Japan's most famous rock garden. The walk there takes you through streets so quiet you can hear your own breathing, your own heartbeat, the soft sound of your clothes moving with each step. As you approach Ryoan-ji, you notice the eastern sky beginning its earliest transformation. Not light yet, but a lessening of darkness, a suggestion that somewhere beyond the horizon, dawn is preparing its entrance. But there's no hurry. Dawn comes slowly here, especially in autumn, taking its time like everything else in these sacred spaces. The temple gate stands open, as it has for centuries. Ryoan-ji never truly closes. Its gardens exist in a state of perpetual readiness for contemplation. You enter slowly, feeling the familiar shift in atmosphere as you cross from secular to sacred ground. The gravel path crunches softly under your feet, each step announcing your presence to the sleeping temple. The rock garden appears before you, like a vision from another world. 15 rocks set in a sea of carefully raked white gravel. In the pre-dawn darkness, the rocks are just shadows, darker densities in the pale expanse. But even as shadows, they hold power, presence, purpose. You sit on the viewing platform, the wood cold, but somehow welcoming beneath you. From any seated position, only 14 of the 15 rocks are visible. The 15th always hides behind another, no matter how you shift or lean. They say only through enlightenment can one see all 15 at once, seeing not with the eyes, but with a deeper understanding. The gravel has been raked in perfect parallel lines that seem to flow like frozen water. In the dim light, these lines create an optical illusion, sometimes appearing to move, to flow, to breathe. Your eyes follow the patterns and your mind naturally quiets, thoughts dissolving into the repetitive, peaceful geometry. Each rock has been chosen for its particular character. Some stand tall and solitary, others lean together in groups like old friends in conversation. They've been here for 500 years, unmoved except by earthquakes. Moss grows at their bases, the only living element in this mineral meditation. The garden changes as your eyes adjust to the darkness. Details emerge slowly. The texture of the rocks, the precision of the gravel patterns, the way shadows pool in certain areas like dark water. The garden reveals itself gradually, teaching patience, teaching the art of slow seeing. A monk appears silently, beginning the pre-dawn preparation of the temple. He moves with such practiced quiet that you only notice him when he passes through your peripheral vision. He's done this routine thousands of times, each movement memorized by his muscles. Meditation through repetition. The air begins to change as dawn approaches. There's a freshness now, a slight movement that wasn't there before. Birds begin their earliest songs, not the full chorus of morning, but tentative notes, questions asked of the approaching day. Are you coming? Is it time? Should we begin? The eastern sky continues its slow brightening, not sunrise yet, but the promise of it. The rocks in the garden begin to separate from their shadows, gaining dimension, becoming more real. It's like watching the world being created, form emerging from formlessness. You've been sitting so still that your body has found perfect equilibrium. No tension, no effort, just presence. Your breathing is slowed to match the rhythm of the temple itself. In, out, in, out. Each breath a complete universe. each pause between breaths an eternity of peace. The mystery of the rock garden isn't meant to be solved. It's meant to be experienced, absorbed, allowed to work its quiet magic on the mind. Some say the rocks represent islands in an ocean. Others see mountain peaks above clouds. Others see tiger cubs crossing a river. But in this pre-dawn moment, they're simply what they are. Rocks and gravel, perfect in their simplicity. As the first true light of dawn touches the highest peaks of the eastern mountains, your journey through Kyoto's temples begins its gentle conclusion. You've traveled through the night, from sunset to sunrise, carried by the peaceful rhythm of sacred spaces. Each temple has shared its own unique peace with you, its own way of holding silence, its own invitation to rest. Your body has found such deep stillness here at Ryoan-ji. Sitting becomes as natural as breathing, requiring no effort, no thought. You could stay here forever, watching the light slowly transform the garden. But you know that the peace you found travels with you. It's not contained in these temples. It's been awakened within you. The monks are beginning their morning rituals now. The sound of wooden blocks being struck echoes across the grounds, a hollow, resonant tone that seems to emerge from the earth itself. One strike, silence. Another strike, silence. The rhythm is hypnotic, heartbeat slow, inviting you to sink even deeper into tranquility. You rise slowly from the viewing platform, your body moving with new gentleness. Each movement feels deliberate, mindful, as if you've learned the monk's way of moving through space with reverence. Your footsteps on the gravel are softer now, barely disturbing the perfect patterns. As you make your way to the temple's rest house, you pass through gardens touched by the earliest morning light. Dew has formed on every surface, turning spider webs into strings of diamonds. Each drop contains its own tiny rainbow, visible only when the angle is perfect. The world is being born fresh, clean, new. The rest house is simple, traditional. Tatami mats cover the floor, their sweet grass scent mixing with the morning air. Wooden beams cross overhead, darkened by age to the color of deep honey. Paper screens filter the growing light into something soft, diffuse, dreamlike. You lie down on the tatami, feeling their woven texture beneath you. The mats are firm but yielding, supporting your body perfectly. Above you, the wooden beams create geometric patterns that your eyes can follow or ignore. Everything here was designed for rest, for peace, for the gentle transition between waking and sleeping. Through the open screens, you can hear the temple coming alive, but it's a gentle awakening, nothing harsh or sudden. Monks padding softly to morning meditation, birds greeting the sun with quiet songs, the splash of water as someone fills the purification basin. These sounds don't disturb your rest, they deepen it, weaving themselves into the fabric of peace that surrounds you. Your journey through the night has brought you full circle, from evening to morning, from seeking to finding, from movement to stillness. Each temple has given you its gift, Kiyomizu's sunset blessing, Kinkakuji's moon magic, Tofukuji's autumn whispers, Sanzen-in's mountain silence, Tenryuji's bamboo dreams, Ryoan-ji's stone mysteries. Now, as you rest in this simple room, all these experiences blend together. They become not separate memories, but one continuous flow of peace. The boundaries between temples dissolve, between night and day, between sleeping and waking. Everything becomes one gentle now, one perfect moment of rest. The light continues to grow, but softly, slowly. There's no harsh sunrise here, just a gradual warming, a gentle brightening. The light seems to accumulate rather than arrive, building layer upon layer like the most delicate silk. Your breathing has found its perfect rhythm, deep, slow, peaceful. Each inhale brings in the temple's ancient calm. Each exhale releases any last traces of tension or thought. In, out, in, out. Your breath matching the breath of the temple, the breath of the morning, the breath of peace itself. The wooden beams above you have witnessed countless others finding rest in this exact spot. Pilgrims and seekers, monks and wanderers, all seeking the same thing you've found. Deep, peaceful rest. Their peace has soaked into the wood, into the mats, into the very air. You're resting not just in a place, but in an accumulation of peaceful moments. Thousands of them, all supporting your rest now. Somewhere a temple bell rings. Once, the sound rolling out in waves, touching everything with its bronze blessing. The vibration travels through the ground, through the building, through your body. You feel it more than hear it. A gentle reminder that time exists, but doesn't matter. Not here, not now, not in this perfect moment of rest. Your eyelids grow heavier, not with tiredness, but with peace. They close naturally, easily, like flowers closing for the night, or in this case, for the gentle morning. Behind your closed eyes, you see the afterimage of all you've experienced. Moonlight on temple roofs, shadows in bamboo groves, ripples on dark ponds. But even these images are fading now, becoming softer, more abstract, dissolving into pure, peaceful darkness. Sleep comes like mist, gradually, gently, inevitably. Not the sudden fall into unconsciousness, but a slow, sweet descent, like sinking into warm water, or soft clouds, or the embrace of absolute safety. The temples hold you, protect you, bless your rest. In your dreams, you might walk these paths again, but dream walking requires no effort. You float through gardens, drift past temples, carried by currents of peace. The bells ring, but make no sound. The moon shines, but casts no shadows. Everything is soft, gentle, perfect. Rest now, deep, peaceful, complete rest. The temples will still be here when you wake. They've been here for centuries. They'll wait for you. For now, just rest. Breathe. Let go. Sink deeper. Rest. The journey is complete, but the peace remains. It will stay with you, part of you now. Whenever you need it, you can return. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and you're back in the temples, back in the gardens, back in the perfect peace. But for now, for these precious hours, just rest, just breathe, just be peaceful, safe, at rest. Welcome, peaceful wanderer, to another gentle journey with the sleeping wanderer. Tonight we're traveling together to the enchanting village of Hallstatt, Austria, where time moves slowly and every breath brings deeper calm. Nestled between a pristine alpine lake and towering mountains, this ancient salt mining village offers us the perfect sanctuary for rest and peaceful dreams. There's no rush, no agenda, just a peaceful exploration that will carry you gently toward rest. Before we begin our restful adventure together, consider liking this video and subscribe to the channel. but only if you get value out of these sleepy travels. And drop a comment below telling me where in the world do you want us to visit next. As evening settles over the Austrian Alps, you find yourself approaching one of the most serene places on earth, Hallstatt, a village so perfectly preserved, so timelessly beautiful, that it seems to exist in a perpetual state of peaceful twilight. The sun is beginning its slow descent behind the Dachstein Mountains, painting the sky in the softest shades of rose and lavender. These colors reflect perfectly in the mirror-like surface of Lake Hallstatt, creating a double world of beauty that soothes your eyes and calms your mind. You're arriving at the perfect time, when the day tourists have departed and the village returns to its natural rhythm of quietude. The air is cool and fresh, carrying the faint scent of pine from the surrounding forests and the subtle mineral essence from the ancient salt mines deep within the mountain. Each breath you take fills your lungs with this pure alpine air, helping you release any tension from your day. The journey to reach this peaceful haven has been gentle. Perhaps you've traveled along the winding roads that embrace the shoreline, watching the mountains grow taller with each passing kilometer. Or maybe you've arrived by boat, gliding across the calm waters as the village gradually revealed itself like a precious secret. However, you've come to be here. You've now entered a realm where stress cannot follow. Listen, can you hear it? The soft lapping of water against the wooden pier, the distant call of a swan settling for the night, the gentle echo of church bells marking the evening hour. These sounds blend together into nature's own lullaby, designed perfectly for rest. Your feet carry you slowly along the lakeside promenade, where centuries-old houses stand in perfect reflection. Each building tells its own quiet story through weathered wood and painted shutters. The famous pastel-colored houses, soft yellows, gentle blues, warming pinks, create a palette that's easy on your tired eyes. Window boxes overflow with geraniums and petunias, their blooms nodding gently in the evening breeze. The temperature is ideal for our evening exploration, cool enough to refresh your senses, warm enough to keep you comfortable. You might notice how the mountain air seems thinner here, lighter somehow, making each breath feel like a gentle cleanse for your entire being. The altitude of nearly 500 meters above sea level creates this special atmosphere where everything moves just a little more slowly, including your thoughts. As we prepare to explore this UNESCO World Heritage Site together, know that there's no need to remember every detail, no pressure to stay awake for the entire journey. This story is designed to accompany you, whether you're fully present or drifting between wakefulness and sleep. Like the gentle waves on Lake Hallstatt's shore, let the words wash over you, taking what you need and letting the rest simply flow past. Now, as you stand at the entrance to Hallstatt's historic market square, the Marktplatz, you're surrounded by a sense of timelessness that immediately slows your heartbeat. The cobblestones beneath your feet have been worn smooth by countless generations of villagers, traders, and salt miners. Each stone fits perfectly with its neighbors, creating a pattern that's both random and harmonious, much like the rhythm of peaceful sleep. The evening light transforms everything it touches into something softer, gentler. The Baroque architecture of the buildings surrounding you seems to glow with an inner warmth. These structures, some dating back to the 12th century, stand as patient guardians of peace. Their thick walls have weathered storms, witnessed celebrations, and provided shelter for hundreds of years. Tonight, they shelter you too, creating a sense of safety and enclosure that helps your mind release its daily vigilance. Moving slowly through the square, you notice the central fountain. Water trickles continuously from its ancient spout, creating a sound that's both constant and varied. Sometimes it seems louder, sometimes softer, but always present, like a meditation bell that rings without ending. The fountain is surrounded by flower boxes, where purple and white petunias release their subtle evening fragrance. This gentle perfume mixes with the cool mountain air, creating a natural aromatherapy that promotes deep relaxation. The few locals still out at this hour move with unhurried purpose. An elderly woman waters her window boxes with careful attention. A shopkeeper slowly arranges tomorrow's display behind glass that reflects the deepening sky. A cat stretches lazily on a warm stone step, then curls back into sleep. Everyone and everything here understands the art of moving slowly, of savoring rather than rushing. You find yourself drawn toward the lake shore, where the village meets the water in perfect harmony. Wooden balconies extend over the water, supported by thick poles that have stood firm for generations. These structures seem to float between two worlds, the solid earth and the fluid lake, creating spaces that feel both grounded and dreamlike. Some balconies hold small gardens where herbs grow in clay pots. The scent of lavender and rosemary drifts on the evening air. The famous swans of Hallstatt glide past in elegant silence. Their white forms seem to glow in the fading light, moving across the water with no apparent effort. They leave gentle ripples in their wake that spread outward in perfect circles, eventually reaching the shore, where they lap softly against the stones. Watching them, you feel your own movements becoming more fluid, more graceful, as if the swans are teaching you their secret of effortless motion. Along the waterfront, the boathouses stand like colorful sentinels. Each one is unique, painted in soft shades that complement rather than compete with their neighbors. Sage green next to dusty rose, pale blue beside warm ochre. The colors blur gently in the evening light, and their reflection in the water, creating an impressionist painting that soothes your eyes. Traditional wooden boats, called pletten, rest peacefully at their moorings. These flat-bottom vessels have transported salt, goods, and people across these waters for centuries. Now they rock gently with each small wave, their movement hypnotic and calming. The soft creaking of rope against wood creates a rhythm that matches the slow breathing of deep sleep. As you continue your lakeside stroll, you notice how the mountains create a natural amphitheater around the village. The Dachstein Massif rises dramatically to the south, its peaks still touched with the snow, even in summer. These ancient formations, carved by glaciers over millions of years, stand as monuments to patience and time. Their presence is both protective and humbling, reminding you how small daily worries become when viewed against such permanence. The lake itself is a study in tranquility, formed by glacial activity thousands of years ago. It reaches depths of 125 meters in places, holding secrets and stories in its dark waters. But at the surface, especially now in the evening calm, it becomes a perfect mirror. Every mountain, every house, every cloud is doubled, creating a world above and a world below. This doubling effect is mesmerizing, drawing your gaze deeper into reflection. Let's pause here by this old stone bench, worn smooth by centuries of visitors. and let the deep history of Hallstatt wash over you like gentle waves. This village, whose name derives from the Celtic word for salt, Hal, has been continuously inhabited for over 4,500 years. Imagine that, 45 centuries of human life unfolding in this same peaceful valley. The continuity itself is deeply calming, suggesting that some things endure beyond our brief anxieties. The story of Hallstatt begins in the mists of prehistory, when early peoples discovered the white gold hidden within the mountain. Salt, more precious than gold in ancient times, essential for preserving food, for health, for life itself. These first miners worked with bronze tools, following veins of salt deep into the mountain's heart. Their work was slow, methodical, patient. They understood that the mountain would yield its treasures only to those who approached with respect and persistence. The Celtic period, from 800 to 400 BCE, marked Hallstatt's first golden age. The village became so important that archaeologists named an entire era after it, the Hallstatt period. These ancient Celts created beautiful artifacts, intricate jewelry, decorated weapons, elaborate burial goods, all funded by the wealth from salt. But they also created something more lasting, a way of life that honored both work and rest, community and solitude. In the salt mines, preserved by the salt's natural properties, archaeologists have found remarkable treasures. A wooden staircase from 1344 BCE, still intact after 3,000 years, leather backpacks used by Bronze Age miners, even preserved food, showing us what sustained these ancient workers. Each discovery connects us to people who walked these same paths, who watched the same mountains, who found peace in the same evening light. The Romans came as they did everywhere, bringing their roads and their order, but Hallstatt remained essentially unchanged. The salt continued to flow from the mountain. The lake continued to reflect the sky. The rhythm of life continued its gentle pace. Even empires could not hurry this place. Through the Middle Ages, the village prospered quietly. The salt mine employed generations of families, creating a stable, close-knit community. The miners developed their own traditions, their own songs, their own ways of marking time. They would begin each shift with a prayer for safety, and each day with gratitude for the mountain's gifts. This rhythm of work and thanksgiving created a spiritual dimension to daily life that you can still feel in the village's peaceful atmosphere. The Protestant Reformation brought changes, but gently. The village's famous Catholic Church and its Protestant counterpart learned to coexist peacefully. Both congregations used the same cemetery, that remarkable terraced garden of graves climbing the mountainside. This sharing of sacred space became a symbol of Hallstatt's essential harmony, differences acknowledged but not divisive. In 1595, a great fire destroyed much of the medieval village, but the community rebuilt slowly and carefully, creating the Baroque and Renaissance buildings you see today. They built with stone and thick wooden beams, materials that would endure. They built with patience, taking years to complete what haste might have finished in months. The result was architecture that feels organic, as if it grew from the landscape rather than being imposed upon it. The 18th and 19th centuries brought visitors, artists and writers drawn by the village's romantic beauty. They painted Hallstatt's reflection in the lake, wrote poems about its morning mists, composed music inspired by its evening bells, but the village absorbed this attention without changing its essential character. Fame flowed around Hallstatt like water around a stone, leaving it unmarked. The salt mine continued operating through all these centuries, finally closing to traditional mining only in 1965. But even this ending was gentle. The mine transformed into a place of education and wonder, where visitors can journey deep into the mountain to understand this ancient industry. The miners' descendants became guides, keeping their ancestors' stories alive. The discovery of the prehistoric cemetery in the 19th century revealed over 2,000 graves, making Hallstatt one of the most important archaeological sites in Europe. Each grave told a story of life lived fully but peacefully. The artifacts showed trade connections across Europe, proving that even in ancient times, this wasn't an isolated place, but a connected cosmopolitan community that chose tranquility. UNESCO recognized Hallstatt's unique value in 1997, designating it a World Heritage Site. This protection ensures that the village's essential character will be preserved. No harsh modern intrusions, no jarring developments. The future will honor the past, maintaining the continuity that makes this place so deeply restful. As you sit here absorbing this history, you realize that you're part of it now. Another visitor drawn by the promise of peace. Another soul seeking what thousands before you have found. A place where time moves differently, where the modern world's urgency cannot penetrate, where rest is not just possible, but inevitable. Rising slowly from the bench, you begin to notice the intricate details of Hallstatt's architecture with fresh eyes. Each building is a masterpiece of alpine design, evolved over centuries to exist in perfect harmony with its environment. These steep-pitched roofs, designed to shed heavy snow, create dramatic angles against the evening sky. These roofs are covered with wooden shingles or slate tiles, materials that weather beautifully, developing a patina that speaks of endurance and time. The traditional Hallstatt houses follow a pattern that feels both practical and poetic. The ground floor, often built of stone, once housed animals and storage. Their warmth would rise to heat the wooden living quarters above. This ancient wisdom of sustainable living created homes that breathed with the seasons. Even now you can sense how these buildings regulate themselves, staying cool in summer, warm in winter, always comfortable. Notice the wooden balconies that adorn nearly every building. These aren't mere decorations, but essential living spaces where mountain people have always made the most of good weather. Each balcony is unique, carved with hearts, stars, flowers, and dates. Some bear the initials of long-ago lovers. Others display family crests or symbols of trades. The wood has aged to a silver gray that seems to glow in the evening light. The windows fascinate with their small panes and deep sills. These thick walls create alcoves where potted plants thrive. Geraniums cascade in red waterfalls. White petunias release their evening perfume. The windows themselves reflect the sky and lake, creating a constantly changing display of light and color. Some still have their original glass, slightly warped with age, turning the view into something dreamlike. Walking deeper into the village, you discover the Protestant parish church, its slender spire reaching toward the darkening sky. Built in 1863, it represents a younger chapter in Hallstatt's story, yet it fits perfectly into the ancient landscape. Its neo-Gothic architecture speaks of aspiration without arrogance. Inside, if you peek through the windows, you can see simple wooden pews and clear glass windows that fill the space with natural light during the day. The Catholic parish church, dating from the 12th century, stands closer to the mountain. Its Romanesque tower is the oldest structure in the village, a solid anchor that has watched over Hallstatt for nearly 1,000 years. The Baroque additions from the 17th century add grace notes without diminishing the building's essential strength. The church seems to grow from the rock itself, as permanent as the mountains, but perhaps the most remarkable architectural feature is the cemetery, the Friedhof, climbing the mountainside behind the Catholic Church. Space has always been precious in this narrow valley, so the cemetery developed vertically. Terraced gardens of graves, each meticulously maintained, create a ascending paradise of flowers and memories. The wrought iron crosses are works of art, each one unique, many decorated with painted portraits of the deceased. The famous Bane House, or Bone House, rests within the cemetery. This small chapel houses over 600 painted skulls, a tradition born of necessity when grave space was limited. But there's nothing morbid here. The skulls are decorated with flowers, leaves, and names, treated with love and respect. They represent the village's acceptance of life cycles, the peaceful continuity between past and present. Nature provides its own architecture around the village. The Mühlbach waterfall tumbles through the center of town, its sound a constant whisper that underlies all other sounds. The water has carved channels through solid rock, creating natural sculptures that no human artist could improve. Moss and ferns grow in the spray, adding soft green touches to the gray stone. The forests that surround Hallstatt are primarily spruce and fir, with some beech and maple adding variety. These trees grow tall and straight, reaching for light in the narrow valley. Their canopy creates a natural cathedral with filtered light that changes throughout the day. Now, in the evening, the forest seems to exhale the warmth it absorbed during the day, releasing the scent of resin and earth. The lake itself is perhaps nature's greatest architectural achievement here. Its depth and clarity create perfect reflections that double every vista. The water changes color with the sky, sometimes deep blue, sometimes gray-green, now in the evening taking on shades of rose and gold. The lake's shape, carved by ancient glaciers, creates intimate bays and dramatic vistas, each view carefully composed by geological forces over millennia. Above everything tower the mountains of the Dachstein Range. These limestone giants were once coral reefs in a prehistoric sea. Now they stand 3,000 meters tall, their faces marked by time. Waterfalls thread down their sides like silver ribbons. Snowfields gleam even in summer. These mountains don't just frame Hallstatt, they define it, creating the microclimate, the light, the very spirit of the place. As darkness begins to deepen, lights appear in the windows, warm golden light that speaks of comfort and home. Each lit window becomes a small theater where you might glimpse a family at dinner, someone reading, a cat curled on a windowsill. These glimpses of daily life are deeply calming, reminding you that peace is found in simple moments. The culture of Hallstatt flows as gently and persistently as the streams that feed its lake. Here, traditions aren't preserved like museum pieces, but lived daily, woven into the fabric of contemporary life. As you wander the quiet evening streets, you're witnessing customs that stretch back generations, each one designed to strengthen community bonds and honor the rhythms of mountain life. The tradition of salt mining created more than wealth. It forged a unique identity. Miners developed their own greeting, "Gluk off," meaning good luck, but literally translating to "may luck open up." This phrase, still heard today, carries wishes for fortune and divine protection. The miners wore special clothing, leather aprons and distinctive hats that marked their profession with pride. Even now, on festival days, you might see these traditional costumes, kept lovingly in family closets. The Hallstatt dialect preserves old German words and phrases found nowhere else. When locals speak among themselves, their language has a musical quality, rising and falling like the mountain paths. They have specific words for different types of snow, various qualities of light on the lake, the particular way mist clings to the mountainside in autumn mornings. This linguistic richness reflects a deep attention to their environment, a mindfulness that permeates daily life. Food traditions here center on simplicity and heartiness. The local Rheinanka fish from the lake, prepared simply with butter and herbs. Kaiserschmarrn, the emperor's pancake, torn into pieces and dusted with sugar. Comfort food that warms from within. In the evening, the smell of baking bread drifts from homes, where many still make their own loaves, using recipes passed down through families. These foods aren't just sustenance, they're edible history, connecting each meal to countless others shared in these same kitchens. The woodworking tradition remains strong. Local craftsmen still create the distinctive furniture found in Hallstatt homes, painted wardrobes decorated with flowers and birds, carved bed frames that become family heirlooms. Even simple items like spoon racks and salt boxes receive artistic attention. This tradition of making beautiful the everyday objects transforms homes into galleries of functional art. Music flows through Hallstatt's culture like water through its streets. The local brass band, the Bürgerchorskapelle, has played for over 150 years. On summer evenings, their concerts echo across the lake, the sound of trumpets and tubas softened by distance and water. Traditional folk songs tell stories of love, loss, and the eternal presence of the mountains. These melodies passed from parent to child create an oral history more vivid than any written record. The religious traditions here embrace both Catholic and Protestant practices with remarkable harmony. The Corpus Christi procession sees the entire village decorated with flowers and greenery. Boats become floating altars on the lake. The Fronleichnam's procession transforms Hallstatt into a garden of faith. Yet there's no ostentation, just quiet devotion expressed through beauty. Seasonal celebrations mark the year's turning with gentle ceremony. The Glocklerlauf in January, where figures in white robes and elaborate headdresses drive away winter spirits. The Liebstadtsonntag in March, when decorated gingerbread hearts are exchanged. The sea procession in August, blessing the lake that sustains the village. Each tradition connects the community to natural cycles, honoring the partnership between human and environment. The tradition of community support runs deep. When someone builds a house, neighbors help. When someone falls ill, meals appear at their door. This isn't organized charity, but organic kindness, as natural as breathing. The village maintains common areas together, each family taking responsibility for the space near their home. This shared stewardship creates a sense of ownership without possession. Storytelling remains a living art. On winter evenings, older residents share tales of the village's past. The time the lake froze solid enough to walk to the opposite shore. The great avalanche that miraculously spared the church. The salt miner who discovered a prehistoric leather shoe perfectly preserved. These stories, told in warm kitchens over cups of tea, weave individual memories into collective history. The tradition of welcoming strangers with quiet hospitality continues. Shopkeepers greet visitors with genuine warmth, but no pressure. Restaurant owners remember your preferences after a single visit. Hotel proprietors share local knowledge like family secrets. This hospitality isn't performative but genuine, arising from a mountain tradition where helping travelers could mean saving lives. Crafts passed down through generations still thrive. Lace making, though less common, continues in some homes. The distinctive Hallstatt ceramics, with their blue and white patterns, are still hand-painted. Traditional costumes, or trachten, are sewn with careful attention to historical accuracy. These crafts preserve not just techniques, but a way of being that values patience and precision. Even modern additions to village life adopted the traditional pace. The electric boats that now ferry tourists across the lake move slowly, respecting the water's tranquility. New buildings, though rare, must conform to strict architectural guidelines that preserve visual harmony. Technology serves tradition rather than replacing it. As night fully arrives, you notice how the village settles into evening routines. Families gather for dinner. Children's voices carry from gardens. Television light flickers behind curtains. But quietly, volume kept low out of consideration for neighbors. By 10 o'clock, most windows are dark, the village embracing the rest that comes naturally in this mountain sanctuary. The evening continues to deepen around you, and Hallstatt transforms with each passing moment. This twilight hour, what photographers call the blue hour, bathes everything in a light that seems to come from within rather than above. The sky transitions through impossible shades, from pale gold to rose, from lavender to deep indigo. Each color lasts only moments before melting into the next, like movements in a visual symphony. In spring, which feels like a whispered secret here, the village awakens slowly from winter sleep. Apple and cherry blossoms appear overnight, transforming gardens into clouds of white and pink. The waterfalls run full with snowmelt, their sound a constant celebration. Narcissus bloom wild on the mountainsides, creating drifts of white stars. Spring evenings carry the scent of new growth, earth warming, life returning. The lake, freed from winter's grip, sparkles with renewed energy. Summer brings a different magic to evening hours. The sun takes forever to set, lingering on mountain peaks long after the valley falls into shadow. These extended golden hours transform the lake into molten metal. Swallows dive and weave, catching insects in aerial ballet. Gardens overflow with roses, their perfume heaviest in the evening air. Locals emerge after the day's heat, watering plants, sharing quiet conversations over garden fences. The mountains hold the day's warmth, creating gentle thermals that carry the scent of pine and wildflowers. Autumn perhaps suits Hallstatt best, when the forests burst into flame colors. The beech trees turn gold, the maples red, creating a tapestry that doubles in the lake's reflection. Morning mists become more frequent, wrapping the village in soft mystery. Evenings arrive earlier, bringing cozy lamplight to windows. The smell of wood smoke begins to thread through the air as fireplaces come alive. The lake develops a deeper color, reflecting the moodier skies. This is when Hallstatt feels most like stepping into a fairy tale. Winter transforms the village into crystalline perfection. Snow softens every angle, muffles every sound. The lake might freeze at its edges, creating delicate ice sculptures. Evenings arrive by 4 o'clock, bringing early stars and the possibility of northern lights. Windows glow warmly against the blue snow, each house becoming a lantern. The silence of winter evenings is profound, broken only by the distant sound of ice settling on the lake. But tonight, in this eternal present moment of our journey, you're experiencing Hallstatt's evening transformation. Watch how the lake becomes a mirror of increasing perfection as the wind dies completely. Every mountain, every house, every cloud is doubled, creating a world above and below that seems to breathe together. The swans have settled for the night, tucked into their secret roosting spots among the reeds. The temperature drops gently, just enough to make you appreciate the warmth of movement, the comfort of your clothing. This cooling brings clarity to the air. Sounds travel further, scents become more distinct. You can hear a dog barking in a distant valley, the sound echoing off mountain walls. The church bells ring the hour, their bronze voices carrying across water and stone. As darkness deepens, the village lights create their own constellation. Street lamps, designed to look like old gas lights, cast pools of golden warmth. House windows become theaters of domestic peace. The restaurant's warm light spills onto terraces where late diners enjoy quiet meals. These human lights don't compete with the stars but complement them, creating a dialogue between earth and sky. The mountains, now just massive shadows against the star field, presence felt rather than seen. They block the wind, creating the stillness that makes Hallstatt so peaceful at night. Occasionally you might hear a distant rumble, not thunder, but the mountain settling, rocks adjusting to temperature changes. These sounds, rather than disturbing, remind you of the landscape's living quality. The lake begins its nighttime performance. Small waves lap rhythmically against the shore, a sound that hasn't changed in thousands of years. Fish occasionally surface, creating rings that spread and disappear. The lake's depth becomes mysterious in darkness, holding secrets, cradling dreams. Some say the lake never gives up its dead, preserving everything in its cold depths. This permanence is somehow comforting, suggesting that nothing is ever truly lost. Night sounds emerge. An owl calls from the forest. Bats flutter past, their flight erratic but purposeful. A cat pads silently along a wall, hunting or simply exploring. These creatures own the night, moving through their parallel world while the human world sleeps. Their presence adds layers to the quiet, creating a subtle soundtrack of nocturnal life. The air carries different scents now. The day's flowers have closed, replaced by night-blooming plants. Evening primrose releases its sweet fragrance. The smell of settling dew on grass and stone. Wood smoke from chimneys creates ribbons of scent that speak of warmth and home. These night perfumes are subtler than day scents, requiring attention to notice, rewarding mindfulness. Time moves differently in Hallstatt's evening. Minutes stretch like hours. Hours compress into moments. This elastic quality of time is one of the village's gifts. There's no urgency here, no schedule to keep. The village operates on what locals call Hallstatt time, a pace determined by seasons and daylight rather than clocks. As you continue your evening wandering, you notice how your own internal rhythm has slowed to match the village. Your breathing has deepened. Your heartbeat has calmed. Your thoughts have become less insistent, more willing to simply observe without analyzing. This is Hallstatt's true magic, its ability to tune visitors to its peaceful frequency. Away from the main paths, Hallstatt reveals its most intimate secrets. These hidden places, known mainly to locals and discovered by accident, rather than design, offer the deepest peace. Let's wander together into these quiet corners, where the village whispers its most private stories. Behind the Protestant church, a small garden hides, tended by someone who remains anonymous. Herbs grow in neat rows: sage, thyme, rosemary, lavender. Their scents mix in the evening air, creating a natural perfume that changes with the breeze. A simple wooden bench sits among the plants, worn smooth by countless moments of quiet contemplation. This garden has no sign, no acknowledgement. It exists simply for those who find it. Follow this narrow alley between two ancient houses, so narrow you must turn sideways to pass. The walls on either side have been worn smooth by centuries of shoulders brushing past. At the alley's end, a tiny courtyard opens unexpectedly. A single tree grows here, impossibly old, its branches trained against the walls. Beneath it, a small fountain trickles into a stone basin, green with moss. This courtyard belongs to no one and everyone, a pocket of peace in the heart of the village. Down by the lake, away from the main promenade, wooden steps descend to a small platform just above the water. Fishermen use it in early morning, but now it's empty. Sitting here, you're at eye level with the lake's surface. The water moves differently from this perspective, more alive, more present. Ducks paddle past, so close you could touch them. The platform creaks gently with the waves, a soothing rhythm that matches slow breathing. The old wash house, or wash house, stands forgotten by most visitors. Once, village women gathered here to wash clothes in the constant flow of mountain spring water. The wooden paddles and stone basins remain, smooth from use. Water still flows through the channels, clear and cold. The sound here is particular, not quite waterfall, not quite stream. Something in between that creates a meditative soundscape. Climb the path behind the cemetery, past where most visitors stop. A small chapel stands here, dedicated to Saint Barbara, protector of miners. It's usually locked, but through the window you can see simple wooden pews and walls covered with ex-votos, small paintings left by miners, grateful for protection. The chapel is surrounded by wildflowers that no one plants but everyone respects. From here, the view of the village is complete but distant, like looking at a memory. In the lawn area, the old salt workers district, houses lean against each other like old friends, sharing secrets. The streets here are too narrow for cars, preserving a pedestrian peace. Cats own these alleys, appearing and disappearing through cat doors cut centuries ago. Window boxes overflow with flowers no one seems to tend, but which thrive anyway. The salt workers may be gone, but their spirit of quiet industry remains. A small park exists where an old building once stood. Just grass and 3 trees, with a bench positioned to catch morning sun and evening shade. Locals call it the breathing space. No sign marks it, no path leads directly to it. You must want to find it, must need the particular peace it offers. Children rarely play here. It's understood to be a place for quiet. The old boathouse at the lake's far end has been converted into something undefined, not quite museum, not quite storage. Inside, if you peer through dusty windows, Traditional boats rest in permanent dry dock. Their painted decorations have faded but remain visible. Flowers, hearts, dates from the 1800s. These boats will never sail again, but serve as meditation objects, reminders of when life moved at rowing speed. Behind the Catholic Church, where the mountain meets the building, a small grotto has been carved into the rock. A statue of Mary stands within, surrounded by candles that flicker in glass containers. Even in wind, these flames rarely extinguish. People leave flowers here, simple wild flowers mostly, and sometimes small notes tucked into rock crevices. The grotto feels ancient, older than the church, as if the mountain itself created this sanctuary. The community herb garden spreads along a sunny slope above the village. No fence marks its boundaries. Everyone knows where it begins and ends. Residents take what they need, leaving what others might want. The garden operates on trust and abundance. Evening is the best time here, when the day's sun has warmed the plants, releasing their essential oils into the cooling air. An old stone stairway climbs from the lake to the upper village, worn into deep grooves by countless feet. These steps are meditation in physical form. Each one requires attention, presence. Moss grows in the cracks, tiny ferns unfurl from crevices. Halfway up, a small landing offers a stone seat. From here, framed by overhanging branches, the lake appears as a perfect oval of reflected sky. The village well, no longer used but carefully maintained, stands in a small square most tourists never find. The wooden cover is carved with the date 1742 and symbols whose meaning is lost. Drop a pebble and count the seconds until the splash. The depth speaks of determination, of people who dug until they found what they needed. The well's circular stone rim has been polished smooth by generations of hands. These hidden places hold Hallstatt's true spirit. They're not attractions but gifts, offered quietly to those who slow down enough to notice. Each one provides a different quality of peace: contemplative, meditative, restorative. Together they create a network of tranquility throughout the village, ensuring that wherever you wander, peace is never more than a few steps away. Hallstatt's stories flow like its mountain streams, sometimes underground, sometimes surfacing in unexpected places. These aren't dramatic tales, but gentle narratives that have been smoothed by countless retellings, like stones in a riverbed. Settle into the rhythm of these ancient stories, passed down through generations of quiet voices in lamplit rooms. The legend of the White Swan begins centuries ago, when a young salt miner fell in love with a merchant's daughter. Their love was forbidden. He was too poor, she too wealthy. Each evening they would meet secretly by the lake, where swans gathered. When her father discovered their meetings, he sent her away to marry another. The miner, heartbroken, walked into the lake and was transformed into a swan, white as salt, so he could wait forever for his love's return. They say one swan on the lake is always alone, always watching the shore, always waiting. This patient swan became a symbol of eternal hope, teaching that love transcends form. The story of the Salt Mother speaks to the mountain's generosity. Deep within the mine, miners would sometimes hear a woman's voice singing softly. This was the Salt Mother, the spirit who guided miners to the richest veins. She appeared only to those who worked with respect, who took only what was needed, who thanked the mountain for its gifts. One miner, greedy for wealth, ignored her warnings and dug too deep. The tunnel collapsed, but the Salt Mother's voice led rescuers to him. He survived, but never mined again, becoming instead the village storyteller, sharing tales of the mountain's wisdom. On certain misty mornings, locals speak of seeing the ghost ship, a traditional flatboat that glides across the lake without oars or sail. This isn't a frightening apparition, but a peaceful one. The boat carries the spirits of all who found peace in Hallstatt, taking one last journey across the waters they loved. To see the ghost ship is considered a blessing, a reminder that death here is just another journey across familiar waters. The Chapel of Echoes tells a gentler tale. High on the mountainside stands a small chapel where prayers are said to echo 7 times. A young shepherdess, mute from birth, would bring her flock there daily. She couldn't speak her prayers, but she would think them, and the mountain would give them voice. 7 echoes for 7 sorrows that became 7 joys. Her silent prayers, given sound by stone and air, were said to be the most beautiful ever heard. The chapel still stands, and sensitive listeners claim they can still hear those wordless prayers in the wind. The tradition of the painted skulls arose from a practical need, but became something more profound. When the cemetery ran out of space, bodies were exhumed after 12 years, and skulls were painted with flowers and names. One skull painter, an old woman, claimed she could see the lives of those whose skulls she decorated. She painted their stories in symbols: a boat for a fisherman, salt crystals for a miner, flowers for a gardener. Her paintings became biographies in color, ensuring no life was forgotten. This transformed necessity into art, mortality into memory. The lake's memory is perhaps the most mysterious legend. They say Lake Hallstatt remembers everything that has ever touched its waters. Every reflection, every boat, every swimmer. On the stillest nights, when the water becomes a perfect mirror, sensitive souls can see glimpses of the past in its surface. Not ghosts, but memories, playing out like silent films. A wedding procession from 1850. Children learning to swim in 1920. Lovers meeting in secret in 1780. The lake holds these moments perfectly preserved in its depths, occasionally sharing them with those who watch quietly. The story of the singing stones tells of certain rocks along the shore that hum with the wind. A young boy, deaf from fever, discovered he could hear these stones when he touched them. The vibrations traveled through his bones, creating music in his silence. He spent his life mapping these stones, creating a symphony only he could conduct. Today, children still search for these special stones, pressing their palms against sun-warmed rock, listening for songs only the patient can hear. The tradition of the evening bells carries its own legend. The church bells ring, not just to mark time, but to guide souls home. During a terrible winter storm centuries ago, the bell ringer continued ringing despite the blizzard, guiding lost travelers to safety. He rang until his hands froze to the rope, dying at his post. Now, they say, on the coldest nights, the bells ring themselves, still guiding the lost toward warmth. The Garden of Stars is a small patch of ground where nothing grows despite numerous attempts to plant there. Legend says this is where meteorites fell centuries ago, leaving the ground sacred but barren. On clear nights, this patch seems to reflect more stars than the sky holds, as if the earth and heavens trade places here. Couples come here to make wishes, believing that ground touched by stars can make dreams manifest. The miner's lullaby tells of a song that echoed through the salt mines. When miners heard it, they knew to leave immediately. This wasn't a warning of danger, but of rest. The mountain itself would sing when it needed to sleep, to settle, to dream its geological dreams. Miners who respected this lullaby were never harmed. The song can still be heard sometimes, very faintly, reminding workers that even mountains need their rest. These stories weave through daily life in Hallstatt, not as superstitions but as gentle reminders of deeper truths. They teach patience, respect, the value of quiet attention. They transform the landscape from mere scenery into a living narrative where past and present flow together like the streams that feed the lake. In these stories, nothing is ever truly lost, only transformed, waiting to surface when the time is right. As our journey through Hallstatt begins to slow, like the lake's waters settling into evening stillness, we find ourselves drawn to the village's natural resting places. These spots seem designed by centuries of understanding about where humans naturally pause, where the spirit naturally settles, where the transition from waking to sleeping feels most natural. The lakeside promenade has benches placed at perfect intervals, not too close to feel crowded, not too far to feel isolated. Each bench faces a slightly different view, offering its own meditation on water and mountain. Choose one now, feeling the smooth wood beneath you, still warm from the day's sun. The bench supports you completely, requiring nothing from your muscles, allowing every part of your body to release its holding. From this seated vantage, watch how the village prepares for night. Lights dim gradually, not all at once. First, the shops close their shutters. Then restaurants lower their lanterns. Finally, houses draw their curtains. This gradual darkening mirrors the way consciousness naturally fades into sleep. No sharp boundaries, just gentle transitions. The swans have found their sleeping spots among the reeds. They tuck their heads beneath their wings, becoming white stones on the dark water. Their stillness is contagious. Watching them, you feel your own movements becoming smaller, quieter, until sitting perfectly still feels like the most natural thing in the world. The temperature has found that perfect balance where you're neither warm nor cold, just comfortable. The evening air touches your skin like silk, present but not intrusive. Your breathing naturally deepens in this pure mountain atmosphere, each exhale releasing more of the day's accumulated tension. Notice how sounds are changing. The active sounds of day have faded. No more footsteps on cobblestones. No more voices calling greetings. No more doors opening and closing. Now there are only the eternal sounds. Water lapping, wind whispering through leaves, the distant creak of settling wood. These sounds require nothing from you. No response, no attention, just acceptance. The mountains have become vast presences rather than visible objects. You feel them more than see them. Protective walls that hold the village in a gentle embrace. Their mass creates a sense of absolute security. Nothing can disturb this valley. It has been here for millennia and will remain for millennia more. This permanence is deeply calming to primitive parts of your mind that seek safety. Let's move slowly to one of the small parks where grass grows thick and soft. Some visitors spread blankets here for evening picnics, but now these spaces are empty, waiting. The grass still holds warmth from the day, releasing the scent of green growth and earth. Lying here, looking up at the emerging stars, You become part of the landscape rather than an observer of it. The stars appear gradually, like thoughts becoming dreams. First, the brightest, Venus, Jupiter, the major stars of familiar constellations. Then, as your eyes adjust, thousands more reveal themselves. The Milky Way emerges like a river of light across the darkness. These stars have watched over Hallstatt since before it had a name, their light a constant that connects all moments into one eternal now. The church bells ring one last time, not the hourly chime, but the evening blessing. 3 measured tolls that seem to travel through the ground as much as the air. You feel them in your bones, a gentle vibration that aligns your body's rhythms with the village's ancient pace. After the bells fade, the silence seems deeper, more complete. Return now to the water's edge, where small waves create a rhythm that matches the slowest, deepest breathing. This is the lake's lullaby, played every night for thousands of years. The sound is hypnotic. Shush, pause, shush, pause, like a mother soothing a child. The lake soothes the village into sleep. Find one of the covered boat docks, where wooden platforms extend over the water. These structures create intimate spaces, partially enclosed but open to the night. The wood here is smooth from generations of use, polished by countless hands and feet. Sitting at the edge, you can trail your fingers in the water. The lake is cool, but not cold. Its temperature perfect for creating that slight sensory awareness that paradoxically leads to deeper relaxation. The fish are sleeping now, suspended in the dark water. Occasionally one surfaces, creating rings that spread outward until they disappear. These ripples carry away thoughts, worries, plans. Watch them spread and fade, until your mind creates no more ripples, becoming as still as the lake's depths. And now, dear traveler, as our journey through Hallstatt's evening peace comes to its natural close, feel yourself settling even deeper into restfulness. The village has shared its secrets with you, its quiet corners, its ancient stories, its rhythm of life that moves like honey, slow and golden. You've absorbed this peace into your very bones, and it will stay with you long after this journey ends. The lake continues its eternal lullaby. Shush, pause, shush, pause. This sound will carry you wherever you need to go, into sleep, into dreams, into the deep rest your body craves. The water knows no urgency, no deadline, no pressure. It simply is, simply flows, simply reflects the peace of the sky above. The mountains stand guard around you, massive, protective, eternal. They've watched over countless sleeping souls, and tonight they watch over you. Their presence is a promise that nothing can disturb your rest. You are held in a valley of peace, cradled by stone and time. Feel the softness of the evening air on your skin, gentle as a whisper, present but undemanding. This air has traveled over snowfields and through pine forests to reach you, carrying the essence of pure places, untouched spaces, peaceful faces. Each breath you take fills you with this purity, this simplicity, this tranquility. The stars above continue their slow dance across the sky. They move so slowly that their movement is imperceptible, yet they move nonetheless. This is the pace of the universe, unhurried, patient, eternal. You are part of this cosmic rhythm now, turning with the earth, breathing with the wind, resting with the mountains. Hallstatt sleeps around you. Every house has settled into silence. Every street has emptied of footsteps. Every garden has folded into darkness. The village dreams now, and its dreams are of tomorrow's peace, tomorrow's beauty, tomorrow's gentle unfoldings. You can join these dreams, adding your own peaceful visions to the collective rest. The wooden buildings creak softly as they cool, a sound like the village stretching before sleep. These sounds are comforting, familiar, safe. They speak of shelter, of home, of places where rest is not just allowed but encouraged. You are safe here, completely safe, able to release all vigilance, all watching, all waiting. Let the reflections on the lake become your thoughts, fluid, changing, beautiful but ungraspable. No need to hold on to any particular image or idea. Let them flow past like clouds reflected in water, here and then gone, leaving only peace in their wake. The church bells have fallen silent, but their resonance continues in the stillness, a vibration too low to hear, but felt in the heart, in the bones, in the soul. This is the frequency of peace, the note that harmonizes all discord into rest. Your body has become heavy, so heavy, sinking into comfort, like sinking into warm water. Every muscle has released. Every joint has softened. Every cell has switched from doing to being. This is your natural state, this deep rest, this profound peace. The swans sleep on the water, white dreams on a dark mirror. They trust the lake to hold them, to rock them, to keep them safe through the night. You can trust too. Trust the night, trust the peace. Trust your body's wisdom that knows how to rest. Hallstatt has existed for 4,500 years, and it will exist for thousands more. Your worries, your concerns, your daily struggles are like ripples on the lake, present for a moment, then absorbed into the greater stillness. The village teaches this lesson wordlessly. Everything passes, everything flows, everything returns to peace. The salt deep in the mountain continues its ancient patience. It was formed from seas that no longer exist, and it waits in darkness, teaching that valuable things come from stillness, from pressure transformed by time into treasure. Your rest tonight is like this. Pressure transformed into peace, stress transformed into stillness. Listen, or don't listen. It doesn't matter. The silence is complete enough to hold all sounds, deep enough to absorb all thoughts, wide enough to embrace all dreams. You can release everything into this silence, knowing it will hold what needs holding, and release what needs releasing. The lake reflects nothing now but stars and darkness. It has become a window into infinity, showing that peace has no boundaries, no edges, no end. This infinite peace is available to you always, not just in Hallstatt, but wherever you are. You carry it within you, like the lake carries the sky. Your breathing has become so slow, so deep, like the village breathing through its centuries, like the mountains breathing through their millennia, like the earth itself breathing through its eons. This is the breath of deep sleep, of complete rest, of perfect peace. And now, as you drift deeper into rest, know that Hallstatt will be here. The lake will continue its lullaby. The mountains will maintain their watch. The stars will continue their dance. And whenever you need to return to this peace, you need only remember the soft lapping of water, the distant bell, the swan's graceful glide, the mountain's protective presence. Rest now. Rest deeply. Rest completely. You are held by the village, by the mountains, by the lake, by the night itself. Everything is peaceful. Everything is still. Everything is well. Sleep now, peaceful wanderer. Sleep and dream of alpine reflections. of swan lakes and salt mines, of wooden houses and mountain echoes. Dream of Hallstatt's eternal peace, knowing that you are part of it now, forever welcomed, forever held, forever at rest. The water laps, shush, pause, shush, pause. The village sleeps. The mountains watch. The stars shine. And you rest deeply, peacefully, completely.